Welcome back. It's Friday, so that means we have another edition of this week's Takeout. I'm joined once again by producer Angela Keiko, and we have a few interesting stories to get to. I think the biggest one that when I first heard about, my jaw dropped was this bear sighting in Hamburg, bears in the South Towns. I feel like every single year we hear about bears in Western New York being where they shouldn't be. And in this case, a couple in Hamburg had the surprise of their life in their backyard.
Yeah, they came home, I'm going to say, from work around 5 o'clock around dinner time, Dawn and her fiance, and she looked in the backyard. She's told us that she's used to seeing wildlife back there. She sees deer, probably rabbits. It took a second for her to realize that it was a bear.
I'd be like, oh, look at that big dog. Oh my gosh, that's not a dog.
Yeah, it was a black bear. It was small. It was, okay. I don't know, but yeah, so apparently it stood up on its hind legs at one point. It was sniffing at some decorative bird
okay,
feeder.
it is kind of small. It looks it's a little cute.
It's like a baby.
Which that's the scariest thing, because if there's a baby, there's an even bigger, angrier mama bear that is right around the corner.
Right. And, I didn't know that bears were this close to suburban areas.
Yeah, I remember it was a while ago. I think maybe almost 10 years ago at this point, there was that bear in Amherst that was around for so long to the point where people were creating social media content around the bear. Like there was a Twitter account called the Amherst Bear. There was another bear that came up in Amherst, of all places. Why are these bears going to Amherst? Last year again. And it seems like it's not common. There shouldn't be bears in upstate New York or Western New York, but the DEC says that they are here. They don't like humans, so they don't try to interact with humans. But the fact that, Dawn and her fiance walked outside, saw this bear, I don't know what I would have done.
Dawn said that she was frantic and didn't know what to do, and the only thing her fiance could do was think of doing was taking pictures. He wanted to show people. He's like, no, I got to get out there and take pictures. She's like, oh my gosh.
I said, Pixar didn't happen, right? Exactly. That's like the mindset that everyone has right now. He knew he was going to tell his friends about this, and he knew that he had to show proof that there was actually a bear in their backyard. But the bear, she said, was not interested in them, right?
No, she thinks the bear thought her decorative bird cage was a bird feeder. Maybe he's gotten into other backyards before and he knows what they look like. I did a little bit of research. I was finding conflicting information, but I think it's like one person per year dies from a bear attack or something like that. So it's very rare, but I've seen videos of bears running super fast towards campsites.
Yeah.
So that I would be scared.
And actually, I just interviewed for an episode coming up next week, so stay tuned. There is a vet who is hiking the Appalachian Trail, and he had an encounter with a bear, spoiler alert. So that story was wild. I was reading about what people should do, and I just did this rhyme before we started, but it's something that I heard when talking about bears, and it stuck with me. So it's, if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. And if it's white, good night. Because, so for brown bears, you're supposed to crouch down, get really small, be quiet. Black bears, you're supposed to make a lot of noise. So it says here from the DEC's website that black bears really don't become aggressive often. They try to avoid people. But if you encounter one, give it space. Do not approach, obviously, but goes without saying. You don't approach a bear if you see it, especially a baby bear. Even though they're cute, do not go near them.
Don't pet it.
Do not pet it. It is not a dog. Funny enough, it says leave any doors open if it's in a building. Don't lock the bear in a room. I hope I never get into a situation where that's even an option that I would have to know whether or not to lock a bear in a
When
room.
you first told me that rhyme and you said fight back, I'm like, what do you mean? I thought about that video of that guy punching a kangaroo dead in the face for attacking his dog.
His dog, I know, but that's what. So you're supposed to make a ton of noise. It said like if you have pots or pans, bang them together. I think it's really funny. It says you should yell "Hey bear" over and over again. So like "Hey bear," and be loud, and it's supposed to run away from you. Thankfully, the last one, if it's white, good night. We don't have to worry about that here because that's for polar bears. The only polar bear that we are going to deal with in Western New York is Luna in the Buffalo Zoo, and she is friendly
Caged.
from her cage. Exactly. She is very cute from far away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, apparently bears in Western New York are a thing.
Who'd have thought?
Who would have thought? Okay, so on to not a scary topic, unless you think about all of the tailgates where people throw themselves into burning tables. That's a little scary, but we're coming to the close of the last season, or we're coming to the close of the current Highmark Stadium. We are approaching the start of the final season at the current Highmark Stadium before the team moves across the street. What you are looking at right now on your screen is how Labatt is honoring Highmark and the fans.
Yeah, they've released 3 commemorative cans, and it's going to be a lemon blueberry shandy. Very fancy.
Very fancy.
But the 3 cans that they're releasing have a theme. Each can has a legendary game that the Bills played on it. So that one right there, the greatest comeback, the perfect offensive game, and
The Snowball.
the Snow Bowl.
Snover time.
Yes.
Funny enough, I was at 2 of those games. The Snover time and not the greatest comeback. I was not born yet.
Yeah, a long time ago.
The perfect offensive game, I was there, and actually that is my all-time favorite game I've ever been to. If people don't remember, it was the game that they played. It was a wild card round. The Patriots came to town. It was like freezing. Honestly, I want to say sub-zero. It felt like temperatures. It was so cold.
It was January.
Yes. And Micah Hyde set the tone. He picked off, I don't even know what QB it was at that time for the Patriots. They've gone through so many in the past few years. I think it was Mac Jones, actually. And he picked him off. They were going, and the Bills scored every single time Josh Allen had the ball in his hands. It was amazing. It was so cool. So really nice to be able to, and I feel like this is the purpose of these cans, is that as fans, you can take them out of the pack, take a look at what game they're referencing, and just kind of remember how fun
Maybe hold
the
on
season
to
is.
a can or two. That game that you went to, there was no punts, no kicks, and no turnovers.
Yeah, it was awesome.
In the game. So the other one, the Snow Bowl, playing Indianapolis, the Bills won. There was a snowstorm. During the game, 9 inches of snow
It was crazy.
fell. So
I was not wearing proper boots. I was too cool for school, did not wear snow boots like my mom told me I should have, and my toes were frozen by the end of it. It was awesome. But yeah, 9 inches, isn't that crazy?
that's crazy. And then the greatest comeback, 1993. Mm-hmm. I was born. But yeah, I was born in the 80s. So the Bills, they had a 32-point comeback. So by halftime, I believe it was 28-3. Nobody expected them to come back like they did and win that game. Mm-hmm. So this is great to, commemorate the awesome games that happened at Highmark. Last weekend was the very last concert that anyone will ever see at Highmark. It was George Strait.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Stapleton. I know. So, I'm an Uber driver too. So I was Ubering this group of kids to Highmark, and I was like, listen, I'm not going to play country music in this car. I'm sorry. I know you're going to George Strait concert, but this car is country music free. And they were like, oh, we don't even know this music, but it's the last concert ever at Highmark. And we just want to be there for that.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's fun then. I feel, yeah, absolutely. Well, I know that we're already looking ahead. My husband and I are looking at the games next season and the games we really want to go to. And of course, the one that we've been talking about is the home opener. The final home opener in this stadium. There's going to be so many feels. And Yeah, I think the purpose of this, it's kind of what I was saying before, is that you can take these and really think about all the fun times that you've had, even during the most heartbreaking seasons. And when we were going through the drought, being a Bills fan, there's that sense of community, and I think sitting down, sharing a shandy with someone you love is a good way to talk about the community.
Yeah, they come out next month. They're going to be available throughout New York State for a limited time, so make sure you go out and get your
I was saying
limited edition cans.
I'm going to get it to collect. I'm not a beer person, but
What is a shandy?
It's I can tell you it's like there's like lemon shandies. It's like a lighter beer.
I'd be willing to try it, but I'm not a beer person either.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we can always collect.
Yeah.
All right, so on to our final topic, and I'm going to let you take the reins on this one because you were the one that told me about this, and when you first were explaining exactly what is happening, it's remarkable.
Yeah, so there's been what they're calling a medical breakthrough. So for HIV right now, the only consistent prevention is a daily pill that you have to remember to take every day, and it prevents new HIV infections. This drug company came out with an injection. So you'd get it twice a year. It's a vaccine, and it's 96% effective in preventing new HIV infections. So it's the first of its kind.
Yeah, it's really a breakthrough.
Yeah, and the person who owns the drug company that made it, he's making a bold claim, but he's claiming that this could be the beginning of completely eradicating HIV.
Which, it's crazy to think that we are in the year 2025 and we're having to think about ways to eradicate diseases. Of course, we still hear the amount of people that raise money for cancer research. So the fact that this is now being researched to the point that something like this can happen, the cost had me shocked a little bit.
Yeah.
$28,000 a year, and it's still unclear how much insurance companies will cover.
Yes. Hopefully, whenever a new drug comes out, it's usually pricey. And then other companies start making generics. So, advocates are hoping to see eventually other companies make generic, and it gets cheaper and cheaper. So they said right now there's 30,000 new infections of HIV in the U.S. per year, 1.3 million worldwide. So I think the drug company's already working with companies in those other countries to make a generic, to make it more affordable for people in maybe like third world countries that wouldn't be able to afford that.
Sure. Taking a pill every single day, I think anyone would tell you having to remember to do anything every single day can be difficult. So the fact that people who would get this injection wouldn't have to worry about this while potentially saving their lives is really amazing to think about, and to think about where we're headed as a country in medical breakthroughs and ways to help find cures for anything at this point.
Yeah. And some doctors were saying that they find that some of their patients, we won't get into whether you should be telling your partner that you have this or not, but they were saying some of their patients, didn't want to take this pill every single day, and then when they get serious with their partner, the partner is like asking them, why are you taking this pill every day? What is that? So they're saying, an injection might make people want to do that instead, so that they're not asked questions about something like that.
Sure. Really interesting stuff. All right. That is all the time we have for this week's version of This Week's Takeout. Angela, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, we'll see you then. All right. That's all the time we have tonight for the Evening Dish. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Have a great weekend.